Hello students, welcome to Sunya IAS. So today we are going to discuss, as you all can see, CSAT previous year questions. And as you all know, CSAT is getting more and more critical in clearing the UPSC examination. And I agree that there is a genuine CSAT phobia going on in the UPSC world. So here we are discussing about quant, which is actually the most critical and the most fearful topic of CSAT, which all of you agree, I think. And so here what our approach is going to be is that we are going to discuss the previous year questions. Why previous year questions? So that actually you can grasp the pattern in which UPSC is framing each year new questions which are seemingly difficult, seemingly challenging. But the way in which we are doing our stuff, we are arranging them in such a way, we are curating questions in a topic wise manner, and then we are arranging them in a perfect way. So that will provide you a great understanding of how you have to prepare for CSAT. Alright. And so what you have to do is just follow along with us. And therefore, if you do that honestly on your part, we are giving you the guarantee that you will be able to overcome your CSAT phobia. So on that note, we'll just begin our discussion for average topic, which is one of the basic topics of quant. And so the topic has been covered in great detail in our online course here, as you can see, average. So all the details of the topic, all the nitty-gritties, all the patterns are beautifully covered in our online module. And also we do that, we ask our students to do rigorous practice for CSAT in our offline modules also. And so on that note, we'll move on further. And today we are going to discuss some questions which have been asked previously by UPSC. So before starting, we will have some basic discussion going on. So what is average actually? You must be very familiar with the term average, because what is average? You're being told that there is some average speed, there is some average marks, different things you have heard about average. But here I'm going to explain you average in the simplest of terms. What is average? Suppose there are 5 students. Let's call them A, B, C, D and E. Okay. And so their weights are different. One is 50 kg. One is 60 kg. So these are different weights of these 5 people. If I have to find the average weight, that would mean nothing but taking out the total and distributing them equally among the 5 people. That is the basic idea of average. So average would be nothing but sum of all these terms. So we have 50 plus 60 plus 30. All these terms summed up and divided by the number of people, that is going to be 5. So that is the basic idea of average. If I want to define average in simplest of the terms, then average is nothing but sum of terms divided by number of terms. That is the basic idea of average. Okay. And here I am warning you that this is not a formula. This is a concept. Here in our CSAT discussion, we are not going to talk about formulas or easy cheap tricks which you are able to get in the market, but they don't work actually in CSAT, because CSAT people are those who are framing the paper are really smart, and those tricks don't work in CSAT paper actually. So here you have to go through the concept, and this is the basic concept which is applicable in all of the questions. If you are clear with it, then we can further proceed to the questions, and if you do them well, then I guarantee you it is going to help you in the long term. The tricks, the mantras, they do not actually work, but what actually works are the concepts which I have just told you, and we'll solve questions time and again just to strengthen those concepts. So beginning with this question, so let me read it first. The average weight of these 3 people A, B and C is 40 kg, and the average weight of these 3 people B, D and E is 42 kgs. Also it is giving us the information that weight of F is equal to that of B. Then the ultimate question says that what is the average weight of all the 6 people together, that is A, B, C, D, E and F. Okay, so that is the question. Now what we have to do is to follow a particular approach for such questions. What is the approach? The first part of the approach is to understand the question, that what it is saying. Here if I take out the crux of the question, it is saying that I have 6 people, 3 of them their average weight is this, another 3 of them have this average weight, and so what is the average weight of the group? That is the question in its simplest form. Now what I have to do is, in second step is that I have to take out all the mathematical information from this question. So that is I am going to do now. So here you can see the average weight of these 3 people A, B and C is 40 kg. So you can write the average weight. So suppose weight of A you are assuming to be A, then B and then C. To find the average we just add them up and divided by 3, because 3 is the number of people. We are having 3 people this time, A, B and C, and their average weight is how much? Their average weight is 40 kg. Now after that you have one more information. You are given that the average weight of B, D and E is 42 kg. Let us write that also mathematically. So that would be B plus D plus E divided by 3 is equal to 42 kgs. That is the second information. And one more information is given to me, that weight of F is equal to the weight of B. So third equation is F is equal to B. What I have simply done in this question is that I have just written down all the mathematical information in the form of equations right here. So this is the second part of the question which is complete. And what ultimately I have to find out? I have to find out the average weight of the whole group. So basically what I have to find out is nothing but this. Let me just write it for you. This total average we have to find, okay, and there will be a 6 in denominator because there are total 6 people we are talking about here. Now comes the calculation part. So using these 3 equations we have to find the total average. So let us start. What I can do in this equation is that I can simplify it by writing it like this. I am just sending this 3 into cross multiplication there. I will get A plus B plus C is equal to 40 into 3. Okay. And then as part of the equation we can have again 3 cross multiplied on that part. We will get B plus D plus E is equal to 42 into 3. Okay. This is another piece of information which says B is equal to F. Now what I ultimately want is that I want this total sum, and then I have to divide it by 6. Here you can observe that this A, B and C part is in front of my eyes. 40 into 3 is the value of that. But then there is one more part which says D, E and F. Here in this part we have D and E, but there is no F. However, if you see carefully, B is equal to F. So this equation you can also rewrite as F plus D plus E is equal to 42 into 3. So this B or F, they are interchangeable since they are equal, and so I can put this value here also. If you want to find the overall average, that will be nothing but 40 into 3 plus this part 42 into 3 divided by 6. When you calculate all of it, you will get the value of 41 kg as the final answer, and that is quite simple to do. So that was the first question. Here I took a lot of time just to explain you what is the process which we are going to follow, not in this question but also in the questions we are going to see ahead, in average and in other topics also. So just understand your approach. Now let us focus on the second question. There is a family which has 2 children along with their parents. The average weight of the children and their mother is 50 kg, and the average of the weights of the children and their father is 52 kg. If the weight of the father is 60 kg then what is the weight of the mother? Okay, so this is the question. Now let us try to figure out what is being said in this question. So here the question says that there is a family of 4 people. Okay, so here we have a father, a mother, and we have 2 children. Let's call them X and Y. So X and Y, these are the 4 people in the family. Now it is said that there are different mathematical relations given to us regarding these family members. So what we'll do, we'll just write down in mathematical form the relations. So first information is the average weight of children and their mother is 50 kg. So I can say X plus Y plus M by 3 is equal to 50. This is the first equation. Another equation says that the average of the ages of, weights of children of X and Y, and then father is there, divided by 3 is equal to 52 kg. And the third piece of information is given to me, the weight of the father, which comes out to be 60 kg. What I have to find is the weight of the mother, that is, I have to find the value of M. This is going to be the approach to solve this question. Now what we have to do is just find out how we can find F. The value of M we have to find out. So how can we reach here? So now this is the calculation part or the third part of the question. What we have to do, here we have X and Y, here we also have X and Y, but there is a F also, and we know the value of F. So what we will do is that we will substitute the value of F here. We will get the value of X plus Y, and then we'll put the value of X plus Y in this part to get the value of M. That is going to be my modus operandi or the mode of operation to solve this question. Now let us just simplify the equations even further. So here we are going to have X plus Y plus M is equal to 50 into 3. Here we are going to have X plus Y plus F is equal to 52 into 3. What we have to do here is to just put the value of F as 60. Here we will get X plus Y is equal to 52 into 3, that would be 156, and therefore we'll get the value of 96. If you put this value in this part, so if you get X plus Y as 96, then value of M is going to be 50 into 3, that is 150 minus 96, and hence your question will be easily solved. What is going to be the value? I think it is going to be 54 kg, right? So the correct answer would be D, that is 54 kg. Okay, so now we have proceeded further in one more question using the same approach, and I think this time it was comparatively easier for you to solve the question since you know how to proceed. Now we'll move on to the next question. Okay, so this is the third question. Let us read it. So suppose the average weight of 9 persons is given to you. The average weight of 9 persons is 50 kg. The average weight of first 5 persons is 45 kg, and the average weight of last 5 persons is 55 kg. Then what will be the weight of the 5th person is the question. So the basic idea about the question, the basic understanding of the question is that there are 9 people which we are talking about. So let us try to name those 9 people. Let us call them X1, X2, X3, X4, X5, X6, X7, X8 and X9. Okay, it is given that their average weight is 50 kg. So here we can say from X1 until X9, the average weight of these 9 people is 50 kg. Now what is the second line? It says the average weight of first 5 persons is 45 kg. Which are the first 5 persons? They are from X1 to X5. So from X1 to X5, the average weight of these 5 persons is given you to be 45 kg. And then finally you are said that the average weight of last 5 persons. Which are going to be the last 5 persons? So from x5 until x9, these are the last 5 persons. And so from x5 to x9, these 5 people, their average weight is given to be 55. What we have to find is that we have to find the weight of the 5th persons. That is, we have to find the weight of this x5. Okay. So now we'll just try to simplify these equations which we have in front of our eyes. And that is the third part of the question, that after understanding it, after writing down the mathematical information, we have to proceed towards calculation part. And so here I am just going to expand these equations. Here I will get, let me write it down. Okay, this is the first equation in a simplified manner. Now let us write down the second equation. The second equation says okay, this is the second equation which I have written in front of you. And then finally we have the third equation. So this is going to be the third equation. Now what we have to do is actually we have to find the value of x5. Now just observe carefully. Here we have the sum of all the 9 digits. Here we have the sum of first 5 and then sum of the next 5. If you observe that if we add these two equations, we will have from x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, further x6, x7, x8 and x9. This sum we will be having, but we will have this x5 extra. Do you understand that part? And using this extra x5, we are going to calculate its value. So the basic idea is, if I add up all, both of these equations, I will have these 9 terms already included, but I will have one more x5 in it also. So if I add up these two equations, I will have all the terms from x1 to x9, but then I will have one x5 also. And you know, the sum of all these terms is going to be, from this side it is going to be 45 into 5 plus 55 into 5. Now within this, you can say that the sum of these 9 terms is something which you can get from this part, 50 into 9. So if I put this value here, you can easily calculate the value of x5. So let me just create some space here so that you can figure that out. And then that will be the end of this question. It is a very simple question in that matter. So let me just write it down. So here you will get x1 and so on till x9 plus x5 is equal to this. This value is nothing but 50 into 9. So if you do simple subtraction, simple calculation, you will easily get these values. And let me just find out what are the values are going to be. So here you will have simply a very simple value, and that simple value of x5 is going to be 50 kgs. So here we have option number C as the correct option. Okay. So in this manner, we have solved one more question using the same approach. Now let us try to move further ahead. Here we have fourth question. The average marks of 100 students are given to be 40. Okay. Now later it was found that there was some error in finding the average marks, and one of the students his marks were actually 53, but they were misread as 83. Okay, so we have to find the corrected mean marks. So mean is nothing but another word for average. Okay, just a different word for average, nothing else. It is simple. So the basic idea of the question is, the basic understanding of the question is that there is some list of 100 students in which each of the marks are given. Now the teacher is counting the average marks of the class. But there was a problem that instead of a student whose marks were 53, they were miscalculated and they were misread as 83. So we have to do that correction in order to find the correct average marks of the class. So let's say in that class there are 100 students. So S1 plus S2 plus S3 and so on till S100. All these 100 students, when their marks are divided by 100, we get the average marks which are given to be 40, right? Now, it is said that one of the students, his marks were actually 53, but they were misread as 83. So, somewhere within the 100 students, there will be a student which will be having wrong 83 marks. What we have to do here is that we have to remove those 83 marks, and in place of that, we have to actually place the correct markings. Okay, so let me just write that equation for you also. So this part of the equation would be the same. And then what we have to do is that we have to remove the 83. The wrong marks we have to remove, and in replacement of it, we have to add the correct marks, that is the 53. Divided by total number of students, they will remain the same no matter what. So we still have 100 students in the class, and we have to find the new average. What is going to be the new average value? This is what we have to do in this question. Calculation is quite simple. We have to just substitute this value S1 to S100, this sum of marks we have to substitute. You can easily guess from where we are going to get this. So from this above equation, we can easily say that S1 till 100, the sum of marks of these 100 students is nothing but, you send this 100 into cross multiplication, 40 into 100. That is something I am going to bring here. It will be nothing but 4000 minus 83 plus 53, net change is nothing but minus 30. So I will write that minus 30 here, divided by 100. And so on calculation, that would be nothing but 39.70 marks. So that would be the new average marks of the class. That is, option number B would be the correct answer for you. Okay. So I think that this was easy. On the same approach we are doing things. In quant, as you can see, each question is different, but the approach to solve each question is the same. That we have to follow, and that approach is something which we have to learn, which we are doing here also. And so we have this fifth question. A student on her first 3 tests received average score of n points, yeah, n marks, whatever you want to call it. If she exceeds her previous average score by 20 points in her 4th test, then what is the average score for the first 4 tests? So what is the basic understanding of this question? It is that there is some test going on. So there is a girl who is appearing for 4 tests. Let's call them T1, T2, T3 and T4. These are the 4 tests she is appearing for. Now it is given that on the first 3 tests she is receiving an average score of 9. So I can say that T1 plus T2 plus T3 divided by 3 is equal to n, right? If she exceeds her previous average score by 20 points in her 4th test. Now this line, you have to pay great attention to what I am doing. In this line it is said that in the 4th test, that is in T4, she is exceeding this previous average marks. What is the previous average? It is nothing but n. You have calculated the previous average to be n by 20 points. So in the T4 she is scoring actually n plus 20 points. So is that clear? So what I have done is I have just written this complex statement into a simple equation in front of your eyes. Now what we have to find actually is that we have to find the average score of the first 4 classes. So what we have to find is nothing but T1 plus T2 plus T3 plus T4 divided by 4 is equal to question mark that we have to find. Now here you have a very good value of T4, that is nothing but n upon 20 from above equation. And the value of these 3 parts, T1, T2 and T3 is something you can get from the first equation. So that is the calculation part of the question. What we have to do is that simply we can rewrite this equation as T1 plus T2 plus T3 is equal to 3n. And we'll put the value here, we'll put the value here. This average is going to be nothing but 3n, the sum of these 3, plus from here we get n plus 20 divided by 4 since there are 4 tests. And when you simplify it, I'll write down simply there. So 3n plus n will be nothing but 4n plus 20 divided by 4. On further simplification, you will get this 4 is cancelled by this 4 by this 20. So you'll get n plus 5 as the correct answer. That is option number D would be the correct answer to this question. Okay, so the same approach we are using here also. Every time we have to assume whatever the names are of the people or of the test, whatever be the situation, then we have to write the equation and then solve it. That is the simple process which you have to follow in each and every question of quant. Now we'll move further to question number 6. So here let me read it. The average rainfall in a city for first 4 days was recorded to be this much, and in the last 2 days it was in the ratio of 4:3. So the average of 6 days was this much. What is the rainfall on 5th day? What is happening here is that there is a city in which it is raining for 6 days, and for 6 days you have recorded some data. You have some meteorological department in your city, and then it is recording the data of all the 6 days, and it is giving you some values. So let me write down those equations. So the average rainfall, so what are the 4 days? Let's call them D1, D2, D3, D4, D5 and D6. Okay, first 4 days, that is from D1 to D4, we are having the average of first 4 days. So divided by 4 is equal to 0.4 inch. So 0.40 inch. Then last 2 days it is in the ratio of 4:3. So one can say that D5 and D6 are in the ratio of 4:3. Simple. And then finally we have the average of these overall 6 days is going to be how much? Overall 6 days the average is going to be this much. So let me write it down. It is coming out to be 0.5 inch. We have to find the rainfall on the 5th day, that is on D5. What is the value of rainfall is what we have to find. That is the simple extraction of all the mathematical information which is available there in this question. Now we have to proceed further on the calculation part of it. So here I'm going to tell you one concept about ratios and proportions that will follow up in the ratio and proportion topic also, but I'm just telling the basics here. The basic idea is D5 is to D6 are in the ratio of 4:3. So D5 and D6, they can have different values. They can be 4 and 3 also, 8 and 6 also, and then we can have different values such as they can be 12 and 9 also, 16 and 12 also. There are different values possible. So we can write it in the simplest form as 4x and 3x. So what we are doing, we are basically assuming some multiple of ratio that we are assuming to be x, and therefore the value of D5 would be something called 4x and the value of D6 would be something 3x. They will be in the same ratio 4:3, whatever be the value of x. Okay, so these are the values which we are going to give for D5 and D6. Now what we have to do is that using all this information we have to find out the value of D5. Okay, alright, let's do that. So we'll use the same method So in this part, what we'll do is that in this equation, we will replace this value from here, and then we'll put the values of d5 and d6 here. Simply that would be the process of solving it. So here you can say d1 plus d2 plus d3 into d4 would be nothing but 4 multiplied by 0.40. So I'm just doing the cross multiplication. This time I'm doing it directly because I think you are well versed now with this advanced step of doing the cross multiplication already. So d1 to d4, this multiplication is going to be how much? 0.40 inch into 4 plus d5 we assume to be 4x plus d6 we are assuming to be 3x divided by 6, and this value is equal to nothing but 0.50. What we'll do next? We'll send this 6 into cross multiplication and we'll further simplify this. So here you will get 1.6 inch plus 7x is equal to 3.0 inch. Overall on calculation, you will get the value of x to be 2, or not exactly 2, you will get 0.2. Okay, if you get the value of x to be 0.2, we have to find the value of d5, and that d5 is going to be nothing but 4x. So 4 into 0.2, that is 0.8 inch is going to be the rainfall on day 5. Okay, so is this question clear to you? Very basic. I'm just telling you one concept in advance which will be repeating again in the ratio and proportion topic. So don't be afraid if you actually found it difficult. We will again repeat it, and this approach will save you a lot of time what we have done here. So basically we are putting values from different sources, getting the value of x. Ultimately we are not interested in the value of x, we are interested in the value of d5, and that is nothing but 4x as we assumed it to be, and then final answer would be 0.8 inches. Okay, so with that note, I'll move on to the next question, that is question number 7. So this is a question related to sports. Let me read it for you. So the average score of a batsman in his 50th inning was 46.4. After 60th innings, his average score increases by 2.6. What his average score is in the last 10 innings? So basically the scenario is there is a batsman. He initially played 50 matches and then further he played 10 more matches. So now he has played overall 60 matches in total. And you are given that in the first 50, average score is this. In the overall 60, the average score increases by this value. So we have to find the average score of the 10 matches he just played. So basically from whatever number we have to see that. So let me just write down the matches. So he's starting from match 1. Let's call it x1. Then there would be x2, x3, x4 and so on until x50. Then there will be some x51, x52, x53, x54 and so on until x60. So these are the overall 60 matches played by the player. Now we'll approach piecewise. First we'll talk about these initial 50 matches. So in the 50 matches, his average score is 46.4. So x1 plus x2 plus and so on until x50, his average score is going to be 46.4. Okay. Now after overall 60 matches, in the complete 60 matches from here to here, his average score increases by 2.6. So from x1 until x60, by 60, his average score is actually increasing by 2.6. So here the value is 46.4. Let us increase it by 2.6. The value would be nothing but 49. Okay, so that is going to be the new average score. So we have two equations here. What we have to find is that we have to find the value of x51. These last 10 matches we have to talk about. So x51 to x60 divided by 10. What is the average score of these last 10 matches is what we have to find out in this question. And I know you are pretty much clear of how we will proceed in this? We'll simply do one thing. Here we have the sum of all the 60 matches. So here I can see that x1, x2 and so on until x50 plus x51, x52 and so on until x60. All of these matches, their sum is equal to nothing but 60 into 49. That cross multiplication I am doing. This sum is equal to 60 into 49. From this part you can say that x1 plus x2 plus and so on until x50 is going to be nothing but 46.4 into 50. That is one more equation in front of you. What we have to do is that simply we just substitute this value in this part. We'll get the sum of these 60 digits and then we'll just divide the sum by 100 to get the average. Sorry, not 100 but 10. So this is a writing mistake. This is not 100. This is a 10. Okay. So we have to just divide these values by 10 to get the average. So here you can easily find out the sum of x51 to x60 to be 60 into 49 minus this value would be nothing but 46.4 into 50. If you calculate further, divide the value by 2, you will get the right answer to this question. And I think the right answer is going to be how much? Let me just check it out. So the right answer is going to be 62. So option number C will be your correct answer in this question. So the same approach is there, same calculations we are doing, just the questions or the scenarios are different. Sometimes he is talking about some test, sometimes he is talking about a match. So there are different scenarios, but the idea line would be the same. That is nothing but sum of terms divided by number of terms, that is average. Okay, so moving on to the next. Okay, so here is another question. Let me read it for you. So the average monthly income of a person in certain family of 5 people is rupees 10,000. What will be the average monthly income of a person in the same family if income of one of them is increased by this much amount per year? Alright, so this is the question. Let me explain the premise to you. There is a family of 5 people and then there is some average income. How can we get the average income? We just add the income of all 5 people divided by 5. That would be the average income of the family. Now the income of one of the person has increased by this amount per year. So what will be the new monthly average income is being asked. Now first of all, let us try to write the things. Suppose the 5 people are nothing but x1, x2, x3, x4 and x5. These are the 5 people. Okay, their incomes are this much, so we just add them. So x1, x2, x3, x4 and x5. This average income is going to be how much? Rupees 10,000. And this is for a month. So keep in mind that this is being talked about a month. Okay. What is the second scenario is that out of one of these people, one of the guys has salaries increased by this much amount per year. So now pay attention to this part. Okay, so let us say that x1 is the person whose salary is being increased. So now his new salary would be how much? x1 plus this value, but this value is for the year. For an year, the increase is rupees 1,20,000. But as you all know that there are 12 months in an year. So overall monthly increase is going to be nothing but this value divided by this value. It is again going to be 10,000. So the new income of this guy, let's call him x1, is going to be x1 plus 10,000. And now in order to find the new average, we'll just put in the new value. So that new average would be x1 plus 10,000 plus x2 plus x3 plus x4 and x5 divided by 5, because since the number of people is still the same, we'll get this new average that you have to find. Now what you have to do here is that you can see in the calculation part of it, we have x1, x2, x3, x4 and x5, all the 5 values are here. Okay, how can we find them? We just use the first equation, the sum is there, we'll just cross multiply 5. So this sum, let me write it in the corner. So x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus x4 and x5, their sum is going to be nothing but 5 into 10,000, that is 50,000, and this value we have to put here. So this 50,000 plus this 10,000, the sum, overall sum of the new average is going to be 60,000 divided by 5. When you find it out, the new average is going to be nothing but 12,000 rupees. And so option number A is going to be the correct option in this question. So you can also see here, same approach, even in a different variety of question, you can see different words altogether, but the approach remains the same because the idea is same, the concept is same, that is sum of terms divided by number of terms. If you get stuck in these various tricks and this all the formulas part of it, if you will get stuck, you will be nowhere. But if you just focus on the concept, that what is the central idea to each of the question, you can easily solve no matter what variety comes in front of you in CSAT in the day of battlefield. So this is the 8th question. Let's talk about the 9th question. So now we have completed various questions on which we had one approach, that is we were making equation and solving to get the answer. Now there are some conceptual problems based on the same idea, sum of terms divided by number of terms, that we have to answer. Let us focus on these two questions, this one and the next one. These two questions are to be slightly conceptual in nature, so pay attention. So here let me read. In a class there are 3 groups, A, B and C. Okay, so what is there? There is a big class in which you have separated each of them into 3 groups for any activity, let's say for any sports game or anything. Then if one student from group A and 2 students from group B are shifted to group C, then what is happening to the average weight of the students of the class? That is the question. So now let me write down some values for you. Suppose there is a class in which there is a group A. So let me write the groups. The groups are A, B and C. In the group A there are, suppose, A number of students. In group B there are B number of students, and in group C there are C number of students. Okay, if we have to find the average weight will be nothing but total weight of all the students whatever there are in the class. Divided by their number, A plus B plus C will be the same. Now what is happening is that you are just shifting from this group A 1 student, and from this group B you are shifting 2 students to this group C. Okay, this shifting you are doing. And now what will be the average weight of the class? Now you have to think in that way, is that here all the students are even now within the class only. Nobody is going out of the class. Is that clear? And therefore the sum of all the students will be the same, right? The sum of all the students will be the same. Here what you are doing is that you are decreasing the number of students in group A. So this time, let me write it again. So all students are there, same weight, overall weight is there going to be. Then if you talk about A, you are removing 1 student from this group, you will have A minus 1. You are removing 2 students from group B, there will be B minus 2. And then you have group C, and now you are adding 3 students, 1 from group A, 2 from group B into the group. So you will have here plus 3 students are added. Overall, if you see, these terms will again cancel out, and here also the average will be nothing but all students divided by A plus B plus C. So even if you change the number of students in the groups, the overall class, the number of students is the same and the total weight of the students is the same. So the average is going to be unchanged. That is the basic idea. So it remains the same, that is option number C is the correct option here. Here what we have to do, we have to just use the basic concept which we were talking about. Okay, no formula, no equation writing we have to do. We have to just understand what is going on. This is what I've shown just to explain you the process. Nothing is mathematical there. So that is the thing. Such questions cannot be solved by just falling in the trap of various tricks which are there in the market. Do not fall for them. Fall for the concept, which will actually lead you to the correct destination. In a follow-up, there is a similar question. So question number 10. There are two classes, class A and B, having 25 and 30 students respectively. In class A, the highest score is 21 and the lowest score is 17. So suppose there is a class A in which there is a highest scoring student which is getting 21 marks. Then there will be someone getting 20, 19 and so on, whatever be marks or whatever will be the marks. And then there is a student who is getting the least marks, and that is 17 marks. So these are the students in class A. Now let us talk about class B. In class B, the highest score is 30. So it is starting from 30. Then you will get 29, 28 and so on until the lowest marks are 22. This is the range of marks in class A and class B. Now 4 of the students are shifted from class A to class B. And it is being asked the average score will increase, or of class B will definitely increase, average score of class A will definitely decrease. This is being asked. Okay, so what is the basic idea of the question? Let me explain it to you again. There are two classes, marks are given to you. You have to just tell that if we shift 4 students from here to here, what is going to be the change? Where will there be a decrease, where there will be a increase? Now, as you can see, in class B, the lowest marks are 22 and in class A, the highest marks are 21. We can easily conclude that the academic performance of students from class B is much better than the students from class A. You can say class A is nothing but a group of nalayak students. Alright, so here what we have to do is that you have to just understand the fact is that if we shift 4 students from here to here, they will actually decrease the total marks. There is nothing else they are going to do. They will just decrease the average of class B. So the average score of class B will definitely decrease. That is the basic common sense which we have to apply. Okay, so if you are taking in a good class, you are taking some students from a bad class, obviously there will be a negative effect and definitely its marks are going to be decreasing. So that part, the first part is correct. Now let us focus on the second part. The second part says the average score of class A will definitely increase. So this statement is doubtful. Why doubtful? Just pay attention. If I take out the good students of the class, suppose these are the good students of the class which are getting 21, 20 and so on, good marks. If I take these students out and send them to the class, the score, average score of class A will decrease. If from the bad class you are taking out the somewhat good students they have, the overall average will decrease because there will be only, non-performing students left. On the contrary, if you take out not the best ones, but the worst performing students which are getting the least of the marks, then what will happen? The quality of students, the marks of students will actually improve for class A because you have taken out all the underperforming people. So in that way, the average of class B can increase also or it can decrease also depending on the situation. If you take out the good students, it is going to decrease. If you take out the bad students from class A, it is going to increase. So definitely increase is something we cannot say. So it is not going to definitely increase. It might increase and it might decrease also. So this part of the statement, second statement, is incorrect and therefore correct answer would be option number A, that is 1 only. So these were the two conceptual parts of the questions. Now we'll move on to another type of questions which are simple, which are having the same pattern, but just the information is given to you in the form of a table. So here we have 4 such questions in which information is being provided in the form of a table. So let us have a look at these questions. So there are 4 players A, B, C and D. Their score in the first innings are these. The balls they faced in the first inning are these. In the second inning, the runs are these. And balls faced in the second innings are these. What we have to find, who is the fastest run scorer in the test match. So who will be the fastest run scorer? He will be that guy, that player who is actually scoring maximum runs in the least number of balls. That is the idea. So who will be the fastest scorer? Fastest scorer would be nothing but one with highest runs upon the total number of balls. That is the thing which we have to find. Okay, that is the basic idea to solve this question. So what we have to do is that for each player we have to find the total runs and the total balls he has faced. So let me just clear some space here. So let us talk about these players. What is their total run going to be? Total run is going to be from here and from here, that is 61 plus 14. Here 5 and 50. 15 and 20. And 13 and 12. How much it is going to be? It is going to be 75. It is going to be 55. It is going to be 35. It is going to be 25. Okay. Now let us talk about the number of balls faced. So here the balls are 99 and 76. Here 12 plus 85, 75 plus 50 and 55 plus 50. Okay. So if you add up all the number of balls, here you will have 175 balls. Here you will have 97 balls. 125, and here you will have 105 balls. What we have to do is that we have to find the rate, the total runs divided by number of balls for each player. Okay, so for player A, it is going to be nothing but 75 upon 175. For player B, it is going to be 55 upon 97. For player C, it is going to be 35 upon 125, and for player D it is going to be 25 upon 105. We have to just find out all the values on dividing, but here what we have to actually understand is that we have to find out the player which is actually scoring the runs fastest. So here you can see that this is the guy facing the least number of balls and he is making good runs, 55. But these people, C and D, are actually taking a lot number of balls, 125 and 105, but they are scoring very low runs, 35 and 25. So obviously C and D cannot be the fastest run scorers. The competition is now between A and B because the runs of A is greater, 75 runs. But since the number of balls is also high, he is facing 175 balls to actually score those runs. So you have to just find out the value for these two. So on dividing you will get the value of run rate or the scoring is 0.428, while this value for B is actually coming out to be 0.567. So definitely this is having a higher value and therefore B would be the fastest run scorer in this case. So in this question we are not directly applying any concept of average, but the basic idea is lagbhag the same. Okay, so earlier what we did, total sum upon number of terms. Here what we are doing, total runs divided by number of balls faced. So the idea is the same. Okay, it is similar to the idea of run rate. What is run rate? The average of runs scored, in 1 over. Similarly, we are talking about the fastest scorer. We want to find the person who is scoring the fastest, the greatest number of balls greatest number of runs per ball. So that is the basic idea here. Okay. Moving on to the next question, that is question number 12. So here we have a table in which of a class there are girls, there are boys. The average marks of girls in English is 9 and the average marks of boys in English is 8 and the overall average is 88. Similarly, average marks of girls in Hindi is 8, boys in Hindi is 7 and we have to find the value of x, that is overall average marks in Hindi, that we have to find. So basically what he has done in the question is that we are given the whole mathematical information in the form of a table. You have to just figure out whatever the values here are. So in this question, first of all, we must know that we are not given the number of girls and the number of boys. Okay, so I will assume the number of girls to be, let's call it P, and the number of boys to be Q. Okay, so let us talk about the average marks in English. So if we talk about English first, there are P girls. So from let's call them G1, G2 and so on until GP. These are P girls. Divided by P, their number. Their average marks is coming out to be nothing but 9. Similarly, if we talk about boys, we have B1, B2, second boy and so on until BQ, the qth boy, divided by Q, the total number of boys, and their average score is coming out to be 8. And then finally we have the overall score, that is 8.8, and that overall score is nothing but G1 plus G2 and so on until GP plus B1 plus B2 and so on until BQ divided by P plus Q is equal to 8.8. This is the third equation in front of our eyes. Okay, so these are actually given you in a tabulated form. He could have told you that there are P number of girls, Q number of boys, this is the average. Instead, he chose us to give just the value in the form of a table. This is something we assume that there are P girls and Q boys, and then the equation is going to be like this. Now what we have to do is that we have to find some relation between P and Q so that our calculation becomes easy. Here you can see is that this sum is actually something you can find from here, and this sum, as you can see from G1 to GP, this sum is nothing but 9 times P. So here I can replace this as 9 times P. This sum B1 to BQ, this is nothing but send Q into cross multiplication 8Q divided by P plus Q is equal to 8.8. Okay, I'll send this P plus Q into cross multiplication and I will have 9P plus 8Q is equal to 8.8P plus 8.8Q. On simplification, what we'll do, we'll just put the terms with P on one side and the terms with Q on one side. Here we will have 9P minus 8.8P is equal to 8.8Q minus 8Q. On simplification, here we'll get 0.2P is equal to 0.8Q. Cancelling, we'll get P equal to 4Q. This is the relation we are getting between the number of boys and the number of girls. So the number of girls is nothing but 4 times the number of boys. So we have average as P is equal to 4 plus Q. Okay, so is that cool? So what we did is that we had written some equations which are not given. So this is comparatively a difficult question because here many things you will have to assume. And you will get this relation between number of girls and number of boys. Now this is the first part of the question which I have ended. Just have a look at it. You will be able to figure it out. Now we'll proceed to the next part of the question where we'll talk about Hindi. So I'm just going to erase it and then we'll have the discussion about Hindi also. Okay, so let us talk about Hindi then. In Hindi, the average marks of girls are 8. So you can say G1 until GP upon P is equal to 8. For boys, B1 until BQ upon Q is equal to 7. Now we have to find the value of X, and X is nothing but G1 till GP plus B1 until BQ divided by P plus Q. This sum is coming out to be how much? 8P. This sum is coming out to be how much? 7P. I am now writing it quickly. Same process I am following here also. Divided by P plus Q. Now we are having this expression in the terms of P and Q. But I know one relation between P and Q, that is P is equal to 4Q. If I put this value here, if I put P equal to 4Q here, I will get a different equation. So I will get X is equal to 8 into 4Q plus 7Q divided by 4Q plus Q. So I am just replacing P here and here as 4Q. Let me just write down the things in the corner. You will have 32Q plus 7Q divided by 5Q, or further you can say 39Q divided by 5Q. Q will get cancelled out. You will get the final average as nothing but 39 divided by 5, or simply it will be equal to 78. That is option number A is going here to be the final answer. So I know this is a difficult question. It is a challenging question. These are the questions which you have to sometimes leave in order to solve the easier questions, because here a lot of information is actually not given to you. Even then, you can solve it by just using the basics you learned and by the calculation tactics which I showed you. So this is, I agree, difficult, but it is not something you cannot solve. Okay, so good luck with that. And now we are having just a few questions more left. So this question is actually not directly related to average. The idea behind this question is average. Suppose there is a term called birth rate and death rate, which you might have heard in your geography GS part. And so the birth rate is, so suppose if we are talking about a time period of 10 years, in each year you are having some births every year, and therefore to find the average birth in all the 10 years, we'll just divide the birth of each year and divided by 10. Similarly, there will be death for a period of 10 years. In each year there will be certain deaths. You're just adding up all the number of deaths, dividing by 10, you will get the death rate. Same idea is there from 1911 to 1921. Suppose we are talking about some census. Every 10 years census exercise is carried out in the country. So it is similar to census. Every 10 year you are having some birth rate also and some death rate also. Now what is being asked in the question is that in which period was the natural growth rate maximum? So any place there is some population, there might be increase in the population or decrease in the population. What is the natural cause of increase or decrease? There might be either births or deaths, that is the natural way. There is unnatural way also, that is called the migration process. So we are not talking about that. We are talking about the natural growth rate only. And so it is not actually a question from maths, it is a question from GS which has taken a mathematical form, and it is somewhat related to average only. What we have to find is that we have to find the natural growth rate, NGR, let us call it, and that NGR would be nothing but birth rate minus death rate. And that is what you have to do in each of the table. In each table you have to just subtract the values, 48.1 minus 35.5, this minus this minus this. For the whole table you have to just calculate the value. So this question is not a difficult question to solve. The only thing is you have to just do so many subtractions, and therefore I've done the subtractions for you. I've made your life easier. So on subtraction you'll get the following values. You'll get 12.6 here, 10.1 here, you'll get 24 here, so these are all the periods in which this is the natural growth rate, NGR, which we have calculated. Now we have to find the time period in which this growth rate is actually the fastest. And so that growth rate would be the fastest in which year? Sorry, this is not 24. This is actually 14. It is just 14. So the fastest growth rate is, you can observe in this particular year, that is nothing but the last year, which is 1971 to 1981. In this decade, we are having the fastest natural growth rate, or NGR. So is it clear? It was a very simple question. What you have to just do, just apply your mind. Do not be stuck by tricks. This question in no way can be solved by any tricks given in the market, because it is altogether a different question. But if you understand the concept, and this concept is, mind you, not from actually quant but from your GS portion, then you will be able to easily do it. Just what you have to just do is subtraction. That is only you have to do. Okay, so this is a very simple question based on table. Now we'll look at this one more question. This is actually also a conceptual question. So let me read it for you. There is a table given to you regarding the performance of a class of 1000 students in 4 different tests. So you conducted 4 tests, 1, 2, 3 and 4 for a class, and recorded the performance. And out of these 1000 students, there is one student whom we are talking about, and he is scoring 74 marks in all of these tests. So here also is scoring 74, 74, 74 and 74 he is scoring. Now in which of the following tests comparatively you can say he is performing his best? That we have to find out. In which of the following 4 tests he is performing his best, and what information we are being given? For each test we are given the average marks and the range of marks. So look at test 1. In test 1 he is actually, the average marks are 60. He is scoring 74, that is he is scoring above average, which is good. And the range of marks is 30 to 90, that is there are toppers also scoring up to 90. Similarly, if you look at the 4th paper, the average score is 80. Okay, and he is scoring 74. Definitely he is below average for paper 4. So if we talk about paper 4, this is not his best performance. This is clear. If you look at other papers, in paper 1 he is scoring above average. In paper 2 also he is scoring above average. In paper 3 also he is scoring above average, but here the margin is comparatively low. Okay, earlier the margin was great. He was actually 14 marks above the average. Now here he is only 4 marks above the average. So this performance is comparatively good, but not that good. So the basic competition is in between these 2 papers, that is paper number 1 and paper number 2. In paper number 1 and paper number 2, in both of the cases he is actually above the average marks. But let us look the range of marks. So in paper 1 the students are scoring from 30 marks up to 90 marks, and in paper 2 students are scoring from 45 marks to 75 marks. And what he is scoring? Here also 74 and here also 74. So one can easily say that in the paper 2nd he is actually very close to the topper. The topper scored 75 marks and this guy is scoring 74 marks. So his performance is relatively the best in which test? In test number 2. So option number B is going to be the correct answer here. So this question is a very simple question. Here you do not have to apply any mathematical knowledge, just you have to use your common sense. The common sense says that if a person is performing good, number 1, he should be scoring above average. And then also if in 2 papers, in these 3 papers he was scoring above average, here the margin was low, here the margin was good. And even in these 2 papers, in paper 2 is scoring very close to the topper. That is the basic idea, that this is his best performance. Okay, is it clear? So that was it, a simple question. And now we'll look at the last question of the day. This question is based on the concept we have taught in our class, and therefore we can find no tricks for this one. So what we have to do actually is to understand one basic concept. We'll talk about consecutive numbers. So there is a concept of consecutive numbers. What are consecutive numbers? Which are, following a pattern. They are just adding one after the another. So suppose we have odd numbers. What are odd numbers? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13 and so on. These are all odd numbers. They are following one proper sequence. Each number is 2 greater than the previous number. So if you add 2, you get 3. Further to add kijiye aap, you will get 5, then 7, then 9, then 11, then 13, and the process will go on like that. Okay. So here you are just having a consecutive series. Similarly, if we are having a consecutive series in which all the numbers are next to each other, so there could be random odd numbers. I can just pick 33, 57, 69. They are not consecutive because they are not in a series. Here all these numbers are in a series, so they are consecutive. So let me take another example. 73, 75, 77. These three numbers are in a sequence or they are consecutive because they are coming in a proper series, one after the another. The order here is important. Okay. So when we are talking about these consecutive numbers, we have to keep one thing in mind, is that for consecutive numbers, if we are having any term, suppose 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay. The average is nothing but first term plus the last term divided by 2. That is the basic concept applicable on any consecutive series. This could be a consecutive series of even numbers also. Then also this would be applicable. And this we have exhaustively covered in our offline and online modules. There you can check it out. But here I am just telling you in short so that we can solve that question, the last question. So here in the first term is nothing but 1. The last term is nothing but 9. The average is going to be 1 plus 9 by 2, that is equal to 5. Even if you try by adding these numbers and dividing by 5, you will get the same result. Okay. So this is the first part. And now second thing is that if the number of terms is odd, so here we are having 5 terms actually. 5 is an odd number. So if the number of terms are odd, then average is nothing but the middle number. So here you can see average will be the middle number. So 5 here is the middle number of these 5 terms, and you can see the average is coming out to be the same. Okay, so if I had even number of terms, suppose I had 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and 11. Now there are 6 terms in total. Then this formula cannot apply because there are 6 terms. But suppose I add 113 also. Then I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 terms. It is an odd number. And here the average would be nothing but the middle number, that is 7. Okay, so that is the basic idea. We have covered it exhaustively as I told you before in our courses. Here I am just giving you a glimpse of what we are going to do to solve that particular question. So here we'll solve this question. So there are 13 2-digit consecutive odd numbers. If 39 is the mean of the first 5 such numbers, then what is the mean of all the 13 numbers? So let us talk about these numbers. What they are going to be, let us call them x1, x2, x3, x4, these are the 13 odd numbers we have to talk about. Now what he is saying is that 39 is the mean of first 5 such numbers. So first 5 numbers are x1, x2, x3, x4 and x5. Their mean is nothing but 39. Since how many number of terms are there? There are 5 terms. Their average is 39, which definitely means that this number, the middle number, is going to be 39. Okay, so one can easily assume that x3 is going to be 39. If this is 39, I can definitely say that these numbers will be further odd numbers. This is going to be 39 plus 2. This will be the next odd number, that is 41. x5 will become 43. x6 will be nothing but 45. x7 will be 47. 49. 51 and so on. You will have Now the series decoded that if this term is 39, this will be 37, 35 and so on. So you know the one of the terms, and then you can find out all the terms since all of them are odd and they are consecutive. Now what is being asked? Final thing which is being asked is that what is the mean of all 13 numbers? So 13 numbers, all of them we are talking about. 13 is also an odd number, and so here also the average is going to be the middle term. Here you can easily see the middle term is nothing but x7. The 7th term is actually the middle term, and this middle term is going to be the average, and so x7 is equal to 47. So therefore you can write the value A 47 as the correct answer to this particular question. So friends, that was it, and thank you so much for your support, for your time, for your attention. We are happy that we are able to contribute something to decrease your CSAT phobia by a large extent actually. Okay, thank you guys.